Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Chris Parrish Podcast. This is episode 120 of the Chris Parrish Podcast, and thank you so much for being here. Let me start off by saying I want to thank everyone for joining in, and we must thank everyone responsible right off the gate. So I just want to say thank you, the Turnbuckle Studios and Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, where you can go and help follow at turnbucklestudios.org. We'll get into more of all the details surrounding that later. And then also Beercade YEG, the official partner and sponsor of the Chris Parrish Podcast. And if you are wanting a place to watch WrestleManias Night 1 and 2 on April 18th and 19th, go check out Beercade YEG. All the information are in the description, but it's local in Edmonton, Alberta, so make sure you're checking them out. Make sure you're giving them a shout out, and please, if you want to see some WrestleMania, go and check them out at 10544 82nd Avenue. It's going to be absolutely electric. Now, this is episode 120. Are we ready? And I ask that because we are just under a month now away to WrestleMania, and it is going to be a complete, amazing show. If you're a fan of the WWE like I am, you know that it is action-packed. It is jam-packed. It is larger than life. It is the show like none other. And sometimes as fans, we think it's going to be even bigger than what it is. And then some days we are absolutely blown away. And some days we criticize, but we get excited. I'm going to put out a thing that I normally don't do, and that is StreamYard has now officially put out the opportunity to put out polls. So does CM Punk defeat Roman Reigns? That is going to be right there in the corner. So if you have a chance to vote, please let me know. That is going to show up right there. I'm going to put it in this corner right over here so it's not blocking that beautiful Turnbuckle Affiliation Pro logo. Shout out to Bubba Duke Show coming in, saying good afternoon, bro. Good afternoon to you, as it's still morning for myself. So you can go and check out. Type 1 in the chat for yes. Type 2 in the chat for no if you think CM Punk will defeat Roman Reigns for that World Heavyweight Championship. We have a lot on for today's show. A lot. It's called Are We Ready? And I have to ask, are we? Because there is still a lot to go down. We still have many matches to be announced. We still have many stories to be told, and we still have yet to really get into the good stuff of these stories. But for some people, their pathway has ended before it's even got to the chance to begin. And I look at none other than one of the biggest icons in professional wrestling, Rey Mysterio, who is sadly out with an injury and has to miss WrestleMania for the second straight year. Now, there's rumors that he was supposed to go on and face the Ring General Gunther, and that will no longer be the case. And I have to wonder, for the man who retired Goldberg, who retired John Cena and retired AJ Styles, the career killer, ever since he lost his World Heavyweight Championship to CM Punk, Gunther has been fairly protected, we'll say. He has been in a lot of positions to succeed. He won the last time his now tournament to face John Cena, and then defeated John Cena by making John Cena tap out at Saturday night's main event last December. So the question I must ask is, who does Gunther now face? We could talk about the Dragon Lees of the world, which makes sense. We could talk about maybe a Royce Keys. As we all know, Brock Lesnar's open challenge was answered on Monday, and we'll get to that shortly. So does Gunther have an open challenge? Maybe he gets tired of retiring and he wants to welcome somebody new into the ballgame. And that would definitely be a Royce Keys moment. It's going to be very intriguing to find out who Gunther does face. And sadly, it does come at the expense of Rey Mysterio. But just like last year, with Rey Mysterio's injury, we got the debut of WrestleMania of Rey Fenix. So could somebody like Penta take the place, as he is your brand new Intercontinental Champion? I did mention that he goes one-on-one with Dirty Dominic Mysterio tomorrow night on Raw for that Intercontinental Championship. So he may not even be Intercontinental Champion by then, but we'll see. As we all know, there has been title changes on Raw and SmackDown more often in the last 6 to 7 months than we're used to. We've seen just about every championship change hands on a weekly show. It's not always just a PLE anymore. I mean, we've seen Gunther regain the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw. We've seen Cody Rhodes lose and win the WWE Undisputed Championship on SmackDown. We've seen the Intercontinental Championship changed on Raw. We've seen the U.S. title changed on SmackDown. We've seen the U.S. Women's title changed on SmackDown, and both sets of tag team titles have been switched, whether it's the women's, Raws, or SmackDown. CBRS Entertainment saying last night on Triple A, Vikingo stated that he's going after whomever is the Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. I will ask this: do we want that? I can tell you, I personally don't. And I'll tell you why. I don't think Vikingo is as over to the North American crowd as he is in Mexico. I don't think there are people in the main roster of Raw and SmackDown right now that deserve to be held back because Vikingo is coming over. It's just my 2 cents. I'd much rather see even a Javon Evans, a Chad Gable, a Ludwig Kaiser, one of the Americanos. Hell, Matt Cardona. I'd rather see all those people in an Intercontinental title match over Vikingo. Nothing against Vikingo, but I just don't care about him calling a shot and getting it. Especially when he hasn't even been dominant in AAA for the last 6 months. But nonetheless, thank you, Chris Best, for coming in with that piece of information. Definitely appreciating of that. Once again, if you're in the chat and you want to vote on this poll of does CM Punk defeat Roman Reigns, type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. We are in a weird spot. As I said, Rey Mysterio's out. Creates an opportunity for someone. Does that create an opportunity for someone we haven't seen in a one-on-one match in WWE, or does that give an opportunity for someone who's been grinding all year long? I know we could still bang the drum of it could be somebody who could be retiring soon, because apparently, as of right now, that's all Gunther does is retire people. And I think I speak for a lot of people where I say that has a shelf life, and I think I'm almost there. I do want to let everybody know that wearing clothes doesn't have a shelf life. Looking the part doesn't have a shelf life, and neither does supporting Turnbuckle Studios and everyone a part of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And if you want to support the Chris Parrish podcast and rep the logo on any piece of merchandise, please check out turnbucklestudios.org/shop, the official homepage powered by Redbubble. Turnbucklestudios.org/shop is the place to be to pick up that merchandise. Check out this video, and we'll be right back.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And once again, I want to let everybody know how much I do appreciate them, and that is why I've decided to start doing these polls for everyone, just to bring in a little bit more interactiveness. We talked about Gunther and Rey Mysterio, and I think that is something that would have been different to see, the ultimate David versus Goliath type story. It's something that, yes, has been nothing short of repeated over the years in professional wrestling, but we all know that when done, it's always really good. Gunther and Rey Mysterio, on paper, could have made that a very good story. But is it just me, or do I realize that the women in WWE, from a collective, are absolutely smashing it out of the park with the stories going in to their matches and their feuds as we get closer to WrestleMania? Now, I will say there are amazing stories throughout the entirety of WWE. But the amount of keeping you on your toes, making you guess, a little bit better, I think. I say none more different than this past SmackDown, as Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley were in a match, or in the ring, with Rhea saying she doesn't want to talk, she wants to do something about it. She wants to fight. And the one thing we saw from Jade, she backed down. Now, she backed down because she's the champion. She doesn't have to answer to Rhea. Rhea needs to answer to her. That's the champion's advantage. So as Jade starts to backpedal out of the ring, we see B-Fab and Michin with a kendo stick and pole walking down the aisle. And at first glance, we thought they're just cornering Jade Cargill to get back in the ring. Until they got closer. And then Jade Cargill turned around and aligned with B-Fab and Michin. And we saw a new faction right before our eyes in B-Fab, Michin, and Jade Cargill. Now, what this is, we don't know. Why they have joined together, we don't know. But what we do know is Rhea Ripley is now outnumbered going into WrestleMania 3-on-1. So the question is, what does Rhea have to do to overcome the odds now that B-Fab and Michin have entered the conversation? Secondly, I got to ask, does Jade Cargill also become more of a threat, knowing she now has the numbers game and she is now using mind games. She's using her head to get the advantage. She doesn't need necessarily a cheap shot, or she doesn't necessarily need to be the best wrestler or anything like that, although we could definitely say she does not look like she doesn't belong. She very much does, and she is the WWE Women's Champion for a reason. But just like Legacy, just like The Shield, just like other groups we've seen, we have seen people join forces when maybe on their own there's a stalemate going. And together they become a force that is undeniable. Chris Best was coming in saying, the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. And maybe that's the case. But maybe we are just in a way where we know that B-Fab and Michin have, maybe they're just in a position where they know they're not going anywhere forward. So if they help Jade Cargill retain her title, maybe Jade Cargill helps B-Fab and Michin maybe become tag team champions, maybe get some gold around their waist. I'm very intrigued to see kind of how people like B-Fab and Jade Cargill all evolve. On that same breath, I want to know where Michin goes from here, because I do think we all look at Michin as the most established of the performers, yet there is maybe a disconnect with the character. Now, when we kind of have this version of Michin, she might be a little bit more unleashed. And when she's unleashed, B-Fab will follow. B-Fab will become unleashed as well. And we all know Jade Cargill, from the time she won the championship to now, we know there's a confidence in her that we have not seen before. So I personally think this is something that in 6 months' time, we're going to go back and say this might be one of the better things on SmackDown. And on the counterpart, if you really want to make Rhea Ripley that ultimate babyface, on top of that, her winning on the number game only helps that as well. But it's also very intriguing to see who could be the ones to help Rhea Ripley in that quest to go after Jade Cargill, Michin, and B-Fab, but ultimately the Women's Championship. Do want to let everybody know that the Chris Parrish podcast is on multiple programs, multiple platforms. So if you want to go on Facebook and help like the video and share it, please do so. If you're on YouTube, I ask you very, very nicely, please like and subscribe and share and tell your friends, and let's help boost those numbers up, because that definitely helps the channel moving forward. Chris Best coming saying Io is an obvious choice, I think, with the exception that she is not on SmackDown, and we know that Io most likely will not move over to SmackDown. I'm going to ask this question. Is SmackDown becoming very heavy on the heel side? Especially when it comes to the women. So I know we can maybe see a little bit of change. I know somebody like a Sol Ruca has been a name that's been flying around the radar as someone who could be moving up. So somebody like a Sol Ruka very well could move up and help Rhea Ripley. And it would be a great way to introduce Sol Ruka. We know somebody like Zarya has a history with Rhea Ripley as well. So if maybe Sol Ruka is going to become the face of the women's division in NXT for a little bit, Zarya could very well move up and help out with Rhea Ripley. So it's very intriguing, interesting, but very investing, to say the least, because that story now has taken a twist that we never expected, but we're here for it and we want to see what happens next. And I like that. Trish Beth's coming in saying she doesn't have to move to SmackDown. She's just going to call from Rhea and agree to just come over to help her out. Yeah, but that has to be agreed to by Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. The one thing that they have put out in there is that the general managers have to come to an agreement when talent sharing is around, unless they are the free agent. That is why guys like Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, and Danhausen, even Omos, can go on any show right now without any issue because they are not selectively signed to a respective brand. Now, I know it's WWE, and we can say, yeah, they've done it before. Yeah, but lately, they've been doing it pretty well and a little bit better than what we've known from years back. Not to mention, we have been seeing Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors in a couple of vignettes over the last few, and segments over the last few weeks, where I don't think the match with the Kabuki Warriors and Lyra and Bayley are going to go the way of the Kabuki Warriors at all. In fact, I do think we very well could see Io get involved. And I still think we're going to get an Asuka Io potential match at some point. Another one that I am very, very much excited for going into WrestleMania is I know we're going to get the conclusion of Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. And I have to ask, knowing that Becky returned to Raw to get an attack on AJ Lee last week, we know she's going to be in Boston for Raw tomorrow. We know that's going to be something to watch. We can only help but assume that that match is going to be made official for WrestleMania over the Women's Intercontinental Championship. My question is, of all matches, does this match need a stipulation more than anything else? I ask because we all know this is for sure going to be the final match between the two. This feud is going to be over at WrestleMania. I think we can honestly say that most major title matches, whether it's Roman and CM Punk, whether it's Cody and Randy, whether it's even Stephanie and Liv, or even Jade and Rhea, they don't have to end at WrestleMania. They don't have to be one and dones. They can continue after WrestleMania if you really want to. I don't think we're going to see another AJ Lee and Becky Lynch match for a very long time, if ever, after WrestleMania. So again, I ask, does this match, more than anything, render a stipulation? And if that's the case, what is the most appropriate stipulation for this match? Is it a submissions match? As Becky Lynch has tapped out to AJ Lee on multiple occasions, could we see a 2 out of 3 fall? I don't think we're going to get a ladder match. I don't think we're going to get something like that where it's not going to be a gimmick match where you don't beat your opponent. Ladder match, you don't necessarily beat your opponent, you just have to grab the title. Now, you can say, well, it's a battle, but it's not a definitive battle. If I'm going to say anything, I think I would absolutely love to see either, I don't want to say a cage because they've already done something in War Games. So I think that's kind of out of the ballpark. 2 out of 3 falls might be too much. So I'm going to erase that one. Again, I'm erasing a ladder match. Last woman standing, Chris Best is coming out and saying, I'm going to say no because, again, I still don't see that as being better than someone. This whole feud has been about beating the other person, pinfall or submission. So I'm thinking more no DQ or maybe a street fight. Now it seems more watered down of a stipulation, but it does allow the competitors to do just about anything they want to each other, with the match being decided on a pinfall or submission. I think that is the proper way to go. We have not really seen much weapons brought in. It's more the ref. It's more this. Maybe we get a special guest referee. Maybe it's something along that line. Maybe, just maybe, this is an opportunity to see a returning superstar. I'm going to throw out the name Zoe Stark. Maybe we see something develop. But I still believe that it's going to be more catered to these two women. Who is the better? And I do believe Becky Lynch does win back the Intercontinental Championship. I do think we could see one more Intercontinental title defense by AJ Lee before WrestleMania. I just don't know if that's going to be something that Becky Lynch allows to complete. Now, hear me out. If by chance we get an Intercontinental title match, say the week before WrestleMania or 2 weeks before WrestleMania, and it's against another babyface, maybe we get Io Sky versus AJ Lee for the Intercontinental Championship, and both Asuka and Bayley, or one of the two, get involved, and we don't see that through. If Becky does become the Intercontinental Champion, I'm going to throw this out. How good would Becky Lynch versus Io Sky over the Intercontinental title be after WrestleMania? Chris Best coming in saying maybe this is where Jessica Carr as a ref, or maybe this is where we get Jessica Carr as a ref and we finally see the feud with Becky start. I really don't think we get a feud with Jessica Carr and Becky Lynch. I think it's just more narrative. I understand that Jessica Carr used to wrestle before WWE. I understand she was under a hood and did some things. I believe it was either in Evolve or NXT or just somewhere else. But I do think this is more of a narrative than it is a potential movement. I say that because we got a lot of people in line on Raw that could vie for that an Intercontinental title shot where it benefits a heel champion right now. I almost think that Raw has too many baby faces on the women or SmackDown has too many heels. I wouldn't mind a little bit of a shuffle there. Speaking of shuffling, every day I'm shuffling. No, if that didn't land, well, that's because maybe, just maybe, I need some assistance to be a little bit better. And if you think you can provide that assistance, well, guess what? You're in luck, because Turnbuckle Studios and Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, we need assistance. Because a real person knows when it's time to ask for help. And as important as that is, we have offered everyone an opportunity through a link. If you want to go and check it out and see if you want to apply to be a part of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, all you have to do is go to turnbucklestudios.org/join and fill out the little form that you see, and we will be in contact and we can come to an agreement of what we can do together to help not only each other grow, but also help each other become better people and better content creators. So if you need that little video because you're like, well, I need to go grab something. I just need to do something real quick. Can you give me that? Sure. And here you go.
A Turnbuckle Affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today, because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
So once again, that website is turnbucklestudios.org/join. Remember, it doesn't have to be on screen. It could be off screen, but what we can do together can be different than what you see. It can be someone similar of what you see, or we could put our creative minds together and just do something productive and amazing. Now, I'm going to stay on that note of coming together and doing something amazing. Because on SmackDown, what we saw were two men coming together. Yeah, they're friends, but they didn't know they were partners. They didn't really look at each other's business as their business they can share, but they came together, and because of that, they formed a team. And that team became new tag team champions on SmackDown. I'm talking about Damian Priest and R-Truth. That's right, they won a gauntlet match to become number one contenders to the MFT's tag team titles. And guess what? With the assistance of the Wyatts, making sure that nobody interfered in that match and allowing a legit tag match, we saw R-Truth pick up the win and pick up the big fat W that allowed Damian Priest and R-Truth to pick up those beautiful WWE Tag Team Championships. And now R-Truth and Damian Priest are your new tag team champions. We'll just call this team Truth and Punishment for the time being. I don't even know if they have a legit name or not. And I like that. Truth and Punishment. Tap. I tap in. Do you? Once again, if you want to vote on whether or not you think Roman Reigns will lose to CM Punk at WrestleMania, all you have to do is type 1 in the chat to vote yes, and type 2 for no. So with the new champions, again, we are getting new champions on a weekly show. Does that mean we are not going to see those tag team champions on WrestleMania? Sometimes it's safe to say that when it's a week or two close. But what we don't know is what's going to happen between now and then. Like I said, we have less than a month now to WrestleMania. So why can't we put something together? Now we've seen the Motor City Machine Guns every week now, which has been fantastic. We've been wondering where they've been. And they're kind of on that losing streak and almost not putting things together. And then all of a sudden they have a match against Fraxium on SmackDown. And then Candice LeRae, in a weird way, helps them out. Now, I do believe that we are going to get a group between the Machine Guns, Johnny Gargano, and Candice LeRae. I do think that is something moving forward. Is it something like The Way 2.0? Maybe. We will see. But what I do know is that all four individuals need something. And I wouldn't mind seeing this. We all know how great the Judgment Day has or is and has made an impact on Monday Night Raw over the last few years. And even though we thought that was almost gone or should be split up, it's been consistent with Raw. And because of that, it's added some stability to the show. So with that 3 hour being added to SmackDown, there needs to be some stability on SmackDown. And groups might be the way. Also, after the MFTs, the Wyatts definitely need to turn to somebody else. And Johnny Gargano and the Machine Guns could very well be there. And then you have Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae there for your women matchup. So there's a lot that makes sense. And how good would it be to see Johnny Gargano going up against Dexter Lumis in a feud on the main roster in some way, shape, or form? So with the tag team championships there could be a lot of different options. We know the Street Profits are most likely gearing for a return post WrestleMania. We know that there are other tag teams out there that could have a thing. We talked about Axiom right there. Another team that I wouldn't mind seeing being brought up to the main roster would be Hank and Tank. I think they'd be a lot of fun on the main roster. And on that same note, we haven't seen a lot of them on Raw lately since they've been just absolutely destroyed by Obafemi. But imagine if the War Raiders came over to SmackDown. That could be a fresh look right there. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about new tag team champions. And does this mean it won't be defended, or these titles won't be defended at WrestleMania? I'll say they probably won't, but I do think there'll be a heavy focus on SmackDown going into the WrestleMania card and even after. And I think more TV time is exactly what you want if you're not on the WrestleMania card. Plus, we still don't know how many matches per night WrestleMania is going to be. So let's just keep everything open, because you just never know. Chris Best coming in saying there seems to be some dissension with the MFTs, so they may split. Split, maybe. But I do think with the dissension, it's only between two men, and that is Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. So we could see that match down the road. But at the same time, there's been a lot of rumors about maybe one Zilla Fatu joining WWE. He very well could be a Tama Tonga replacement in the MFTs. But again, another story that we will see. They still have the Lantern, so they still have unfinished business with the Wyatts. So there's still a lot more to be told. Plus, it's still the early stages. Who knows if there's dissension? We just know Tama Tonga spoke up to Solo Sikoa before we even got an answer out of that, Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre started going full Peter Griffin and the chicken and started fighting just about everywhere in the building. So that took our attention away from what was going on. We talked about a lot already on Raw. I only have a few things left. So let's talk about this. The U.S. women's title match. Julia is your current Women's United States champion. Does she face off against Tiffany Stratton one-on-one at WrestleMania? Or do we see the inclusion of Chelsea Green in this match and the U.S. women's title match becomes a triple threat? Now, I ask, knowing that we've seen Julia's counterpart, Kiana James, sprinkled in the matches. We know she was a part of the Elimination Chamber match. Could this be a four-way? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. However, I also don't think we're going to go WrestleMania without Chelsea Green in ring, and I do think that is highly likely. So, I'm wondering, what do you think? Do we think it's a one-on-one match, Julia and Tiffany Stratton, or do we get Chelsea Green added to make this a triple threat? Because I do think what we could see is Tiffany Stratton in a triple threat win this championship, only to then have a feud post-Mania with Chelsea Green, but then only see Kiana James and Julia have that dissension of a split after. Now that maybe Kiana James may have accidentally, maybe she accidentally cost Julia the match, and we see a little dissension there. Because I'll say this, what if we trade Io for Julia, and Julia goes and aligns herself with Asuka, and then we see Io with Rhea once again on SmackDown? Just putting out something there. Who knows? Side note, I do want to see more trades on the roster. I said we'll get to one more, and then we'll get to our final ad, and then we will close off this show. So I'm going to go with kind of one where it's more of a critique. Actually, I guess both of these are a little bit more of a critique, but this is more of a selective critique. Are we tired of Roman Reigns' returns and his limited roles ahead of marquee matches? I ask this because we do know that he has a schedule up until WrestleMania, and he's not going to be at every Raw before WrestleMania. For someone who has won the Royal Rumble and is going to main event night 2 of WrestleMania against CM Punk, the big question I ask is, should we not see more of Roman Reigns? I understand what they're doing with Roman Reigns, making him the big deal, making him a very selective show, allowing him to be, hey, less is more. I understand all that, but this is WrestleMania, and we're supposed to be larger than life. This is the showcase of the immortals, and let me tell you something, Roman, brother, we need you. WrestleMania does sell itself, but Roman Reigns versus CM Punk needs more. And it can't get more if the Usos and CM Punk are sharing the final segment on Raw. We need that to be Roman Reigns. And luckily, on Raw this past week, we saw physicality finally brew as CM Punk took a shot at Roman Reigns. And I think it's about damn time that got a little physical. So I'll ask this. Are you guys tired of the Roman Reigns returns vignettes? Are you tired of a Roman Reigns major win at, say, Royal Rumble, or maybe even a potential Money in the Bank or King of the Ring or anything like that if we don't see Roman Reigns every week. I don't criticize the performer, and I'm not criticizing the creative. I'm criticizing the situation because I think everything would be a lot larger if we got him, at the very least, from major win to major event. And I think that's what makes the marquee bigger. But that is my personal opinion. What is yours? Now, we know here at Turnbuckle Affiliation Program and the Turnbuckle Studios and here at the Chris Parrish Podcast that being around all the time is a good thing. So much that we have a weekly calendar. Now, what you don't see is the PLE Patrol that will be live April 18th and 19th for WrestleMania. The watch parties that may include NXT, TNA, pay-per-views that is, and even potentially other big shows like Saturday Night's Main Event. But we get that Sunday to Saturday, there's going to be things all the time. So don't take my word for it. Check out this video and you let me know what your favorite show is. And if by chance one of them's yours, shh, I'm looking at you, Carl Carafel.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we go TNA as we brace for Impact at 9 p.m. On Fridays, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish Podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later that night, we have the Borsnest at 8 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day. And please visit turnbucklestudios.org.
And once again, you can go and check out all that information a little bit differently at turnbucklestudios.org because you can go to the show section, turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And you can click on which show you want, and it will directly go to that latest episode of that show. So it's very easy for you to go and check everything out. So make sure you're going to turnbucklestudios.org. The last topic I do want to talk about is what I touched on right before that ad, and that is physicality. When we talk about some of the biggest main events in WrestleMania history, we think of Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17. We think of that My Way video. And we know that that video doesn't become amazing unless when the beat starts dropping and starts getting more heavy, that's where we see The Rock and Stone Cold start fighting each other. We all know that at some point physicality needs to take part. And now that we're just under a month out, I think it's time we dial up the physicality over, at the very least, our major 4 title matches. And those are CM Punk and Roman Reigns, Liv Morgan and Stephanie McMahon, Jade Cargill, Rhea Ripley, and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Now you can say, whoa, we're getting a lot of physicality with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And I will say you're right, but it was more directed to turn Randy Orton into a different character. What I do appreciate about this, it is helping the story. It is helping that absolute need for Randy Orton and his desperation to be champion. We've seen so much that we've even seen Matt Cardona get involved, which I very much like. Because who knows where Matt Cardona really stands, because he didn't come to WWE just to be overlooked. It's not like we're going to get a YouTube series out of Matt Cardona anytime soon, but what we could get is Matt Cardona being involved in a major storyline and being a major player on the SmackDown scene. With CM Punk and Roman Reigns, I want to see them brawl. In fact, we talked earlier about stipulations. This match very well could have one too. And I think it does make the match even more. So I want to see these two because there is so much that they can say verbally that makes you go, oh, I can't believe he said that. Oh my God, that he went too far. You don't talk about his dad. You don't talk about him being old. You don't even talk about Larry. Trust me, we all know that was supposed to be the line. We need to see that physicality. They're alpha males. Alpha males fight. It's just the DNA. And that is just what happens in the jungle. If you want to be the king of the jungle, you gotta get a little bit dirty. And it might get a little bloody. That's just the raw action we like heading into WrestleMania. For Liv Morgan and Stephanie McCure, I think their story is dwindling a little bit every week. I want to see more invested in their storyline. I want to see less involvement from what other people are doing. I want to see Liv Morgan's business being Liv Morgan's business. And I need to see pretty much something on Raw tomorrow that tells me this match does warrant a major slot on a WrestleMania card. Because right now, I'm not losing interest, but I don't think the payoff is going to be as good if they start going in where they're going. We need some more out of them and out of their story. And for Jade and Rhea, I will say I am invested because their story just keeps getting more interesting. This is like a TV drama that realizes that WrestleMania might be its first season or season finale. So they're making sure they give you something big to hang on before they come back. And I do think that's what we're seeing right now. So I asked at the beginning of the show, are we ready? And the question I'm going to say is, I'm getting there. I am getting there. We are simply 27 days away from WrestleMania, and it is going to be an absolute amazing show. Once again, if you want to see WrestleMania Night 1 with me, come to Beercade YEG in Edmonton, Alberta, located at 10544 82nd Ave, and you can enjoy a free showing, a free viewing of WrestleMania. And you could see if Randy Orton becomes a 15-time champion in the WWE. Now we talked about what today is. The big question is what comes next. Just like the wrestling bubble, we always talk about where it leads to. And this is no different. Next week will be episode 121, and it will be called Showing Up. That's right. It is the WrestleMania season. This is where your best becomes the new standard. And if you're not willing to be the best, if you're not willing to be an icon, a legend, then why are you even showing up in the first place? If you want to get your foot in the door, if you want to be the Obafemi power bombing Brock Lesnar, then you must show up. talked about King of the Jungle. That one for sure is a moment of one line taken out the old line. At least that's what it seems. For me, my name is Chris Parrish. You can check me out on my link tree down below. Check out all my socials and please like, follow, subscribe. If you're checking out the Chris Parrish podcast on Spotify, please help that out and rate the episodes. I appreciate every one of you for stopping by, checking in, and voting on the poll. That is now over, and it is pretty much unanimous that you want to see CM Punk defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So, for that, I'll say have a nice cold Pepsi. Because this has been episode 120. Are we ready? You have been fantastic. So I will ask you to do one thing. Please stay happy. Please be healthy. And please be yourself. Because at the end of the day, you matter.
Rip through the clouds, faster, catch us from falling close to the ground. Perish or try to fight.